Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another FME Fireside chat with the team here at Abley. Like it has been the past few weeks, we've got Gavin, Todd, and myself. And today we're going to switch it up a little bit, and the other two don't really know what's going to be happening. But a few months ago, actually, we received some little wee playing sort of trading cards from Safe. And they have a list of transformers on them as well as some sort of facts. And I'm going to see if the other two, when I read out some of these facts, can guess what this transformer is. And then we'll have a quick discussion around how we use that transformer, what some of the benefits are, and just lead a discussion on from there.
If we use the transformers?
Yeah, if you use it. But no, I've had a look through and I think there's some good transformers in there. I think that will spark a bit of conversation, and especially with Todd. So this first transformer, its rank is number 57. So you guys need to try and guess what this is.
Don't give me ranks,
Now,
unless it's one.
This is its description. It's the quarterback of web transformers. It hands off requests to a web service backend. HTTP caller. Yeah, yeah. So this is our first card. Now,
I'm surprised you knew what a quarterback was there.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So these cards have a wee fact on them as well. So I'll just read this fact out, and this is actually quite a good one. So the HTTP caller has 6 aliases. So when you type your transformer name into FME Workbench, you'll sometimes notice that there's an italicized thing come up. Now, the reason why it's got 6 is because there were 6 other HTTP transformers that were all amalgamated into this one. And Todd's nodding his head as if he can remember what those other transformers used to be.
Wow. Yeah, maybe. Is there a list?
No, there's not a list, unfortunately.
Yeah. Because, there's been so many that have been grouped together in the past. But,
So this was a while back when there would have been a GET transformer.
I think there was an
or something.
HTML caller or something.
There are still HTML
readers
tables, stuff.
It's tables,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what the original caller was called.
Well, I think it's been HTTP caller for a long time.
Cool.
Yeah. And so what do you guys sort of use HTTP callers for?
Everything.
Yeah. Anything
everything.
web related.
Yeah. And actually, sometimes I'll use an HTTP caller rather than a reader, depending on what it is, to do certain things.
So would that be like reading a JSON file or a CSV from a website or something?
Yeah, so certain things, like if I talked about Esri services and things like that, some information that I might want might not be visible via the reader. When I say that, I might be looking at specific attributes, like whether it's a view or things like that.
Another example is even HTML call or a table reader may not pull a table in if it's actually a JavaScript table. So if you use the HTTP caller, you can pull it in, and then a few years ago they introduced the extractor, HTML extractor, and that's pretty nice for digging into some HTML.
You're getting off to the other transformers.
Oh, sorry.
So Todd, you actually made the comment before that you often start off, or you use an HTTP caller in terms of a reader. Would you almost think it would be a place for an HTTP creator, like there's a Python caller and a Python creator, so you can actually start your workbench?
No, because I probably
caller.
a lot of times I use HTTP callers to a dynamic part of the process where I'm firing lots of features and creating my own specific URLs, own queries, headers, etc. So it's a case where it's not just the same URL getting hit over and over again. So in that side of things, I like the way it's built. There's lots of bits and pieces I like about it. One of the pains I did have with it is basically when you choose a web connection as your authentication, I would love an easy way to be able to get the URL that web connection is related to to then be part of the URL that I'm calling.
Yes.
Saying that, we've built some other stuff around that to get around that does that, but in terms of if that was within the HTTP caller, that would be great.
Yeah. And something that's recently come out in, was it 2020 or 2021.0, is the ability to do concurrent calls with the HTTP caller. So that makes it pretty impressive and pretty powerful. All right, so our next transformer is ranking number 1.
Tester.
Yeah, tester. So, interesting fact about the tester. Copying tests between testers was first suggested by users on the FME community. So, without getting too sidetracked into the FME community, great place if you've got any suggestions for future improvements or comments, or you want some help. There's a lot of smart people on there that can help out. And
Except for Hamish.
Yeah, I was going to say. You're just plugging yourself there, aren't you?
And a wee description about the tester. It's the slam dunk for the Transformer Hall of Fame. An all-round performer. It both defends against bad data and passes features to the forwards for processing. It doesn't hold or block and never flops.
Yep, well, I mean, the tester, you can understand why it's number 1. It's used a lot.
I'm a test filter man myself.
So you like having multiple testers, basically, in
I
one
like to
go?
know where things are going. I like to send them different directions. That's what I like to do.
Yeah, it's built pretty well now. I'd still like an advanced portion of it, so I could just write out my tests.
Well, they sort of have done that, haven't they? With
Yeah,
the ability
but
to write the composite.
Yes, but it's again up in the top half, so you can write it in that window. I'm always like, if I really wanted to, I want to break it apart and do the advanced thing and write it out as I would see it. And I know you can look at that, but it's a lot. For me, it would be easier if I could just
Is the composite stuff in the tester, or is that only an attribute? Creators, managers, and that type of thing. I don't think they have composite testing.
Oh,
in
no,
the
no
tester
composite
because-
testing. No.
Oh, but you can, on the left-hand side, you've got all the options.
The
there,
ors
bricks
and
and
adds
Right,
and
gotcha.
or nots
Yeah,
or
yeah,
da-da-da, and
cool.
you can edit down in that other
Right.
in the
area.
bottom. In the
Yeah,
bottom
so you
half,
just
can-
mean an advanced dialog box where you could go in there and write it yourself.
Yeah.
So almost being able to write SQL style statements or something.
Well, it's not even that. It's
Yeah,
just
they
being able
have.
to. It's just being able to go and spit it out quickly rather than having to do drop downs.
Yeah.
And not even. I know you can input stuff, but
They've got it in some other transformers.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like in the. I think the string concatenator's got.
I want to
Yes,
say
you've got the
Yeah,
advanced
yeah.
option.
the equation evaluator or something in there other has
So
one.
you've got a few places where you can write advanced. Which I just like because I know what I want and I just want to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, tester's pretty cool. Of course, you've got so much control over how you test, whether you're testing for. I'm always confused though by what auto means.
in terms of the comparison.
Yeah, in
numeric
terms of
string, yeah.
well, not only that. When you do auto. Case sensitive versus insensitive and all sorts of stuff. Well, they're all different options.
I do occasionally see on the community forums that people will have issues with that auto functionality and changing it to either case sensitive, case insensitive, numerical, string or whatever. Often fixes those issues that they're experiencing.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the next one now. So this transformer is ranking 119. It has no aliases and its category is under web and integrations. Now this is its wee description. At the end of the day, this transformer gives 110%, collecting features and passing them to an email server. It has immaculate delivery and never misses a header.
So the emailer or the FME?
It's the
Is the
emailer.
emailer?
Yeah. So, interesting fact, from 2020 onwards, the emailer transfer is now a package and will live under FME Hub. Now, Todd, I'm sure you've got a bit to say about the emailer because you don't particularly like it, do you?
I was going to say, but that's because of our environment.
Yeah.
So I don't like to have things set up in one space. So, for instance, I wouldn't want 20 different workspaces with an emailer and then Joel from our IT side comes and goes, we're changing this,
We're changing our SMTP server.
We're changing the port number and to be a bit safer, and then I have to go and figure out 20-something workbenches that have got it. So I'm always going to go, I'm sending emails via FME server, and you can notify that FME server topic and send emails that way.
And that allows you to have that configuration stored in a singular location.
It's also dependent on FME server in that case. But
Yes, and I'm saying this for our environment.
I use email at home quite a bit for different things. It's just random stuff that I have on my home license, and it works great.
I've done exactly the same. Used an emailer because I didn't have FME server.
I think that's an interesting one though, because I think that there may be some advanced capability within the emailer that maybe hasn't been harnessed yet. I don't know it. I don't know the transformer well enough. But I would imagine that there's potentially some stuff like that where you could pipe in a network SMTP type. I don't know.
Sort of do it a bit more dynamically. You're almost saying that you could send emails with different email servers depending on the case of or something.
But I mean, again, I'll come back to my FME server. You could do exactly the same thing. Just set up different topics, send emails, choose which one you're going to send to. You can pass all your configurations, etc.
So for those watching it that don't know about that process, can you give us a quick overview of right from your workbench through to setting it up, how it works?
In terms of, from basically having a subscription set up in FME server that is connected to the email service, and then setting that up against a topic or having a topic point to that subscriber, and then in FME desktop you would just use an FME server notifier, point it at your FME server, choose the topic that is associated with that email thing, and then pass it some information in JSON. But prior to that, you'd probably, if you want to do it simply, you'd use something like the FME server email generator just before the FME server notifier to structure how you're going to send that email.
So it's slightly more, it's not as an out-of-the-box solution, but it adds that reliability in a large environment. And if you're managing, we've got 4 or 5 people here at Abley who regularly use FME, and if all of us were building processes that required an emailer, and as Todd mentioned, something changes, that's going to take a lot of time for us to go back through and actually figure out where everything is.
The finding them's not too bad, but going through and then changing them all is
whereas just changing it in one
location. Right. Same thing applies for automations though as well, I'd just like to say. So instead of setting up automations with distinctive emails, pointing it to a topic that relates to an emailer and doing it that way.
All right, so the next transformer is rank 99. I'm actually surprised by this one. I thought this might have been a little bit higher up. Now, it's a filter. The category it falls under is filters and joins. And transformer number 99, the great one. Fire up the red light because this transformer matches up lines and brings back the point.
Oh, no. It matches up lines, line on line.
Line on line overlay, yep. Oh. So it works hard on its overlaps, records great stats, and will never be traded away. Now, the interesting fact for this one, and I wonder, I know you know this, Todd, but Gavin, did you know that all transformers have a 2 or 3 letter abbreviation?
Yes.
Yes, you did. So for line on line overlayer, if you want to quickly add that to the canvas, you just type LOL, lol, for line on line. So I don't know many of these off by heart, but all the transformers will have a really short abbreviation, and I believe Mark has posted a list of many of them.
And
I think there was an FME golf thing a while back on it.
I might have been looking in the registry the other day and found a whole list of things that FME does in terms of what inputs you can have and how it then breaks them down into what particular things
under the search for transformers and readers and stuff.
Yeah. I didn't.
Well, that sounds like a good chat for another day.
Yeah.
But now we're
FME. Yes.
But now we're talking about the line on line, line overlayer.
So line on line overlayer is pretty cool. One of the things and where I choose to use it and not choose to use it is that it's got one input port.
Yeah.
So you're passing every feature into that one input port. So that does sometimes change when you want to use it against something like a spatial filter or a spatial relator, and things like that.
Or a clipper or...
Yeah.
So all of these, because there's a suite of the overlayer tools. You've got line on line, point on area on area, and they all do very similar things to a clipper or a spatial relator, a spatial joiner. Similar,
yes.
And something you'll find is people don't realise that these overlay transformers exist, so they'll go try to do something with, say, a clipper.
Yes.
Or a spatial relator, whereas actually the overlayer ones achieve what they want a lot better.
I mean, it's a standard FME behaviour, isn't it? You can attack it from many different ways, and actually knowing all the transformers and what they do is really useful.
Yeah, definitely.
Line on line overlay, you've got plenty of options. I believe you can build a list and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you definitely can. I'm wondering, so line on area, when you use it, it splits the lines on your areas. Does this do the same?
Yes.
If you use a line, okay, cool.
So this has been used quite a bit for a lot of the transport work we do when we've got a road network and we want to extract intersections.
Yep.
So you can do the line on line overlay, and where the two lines touch or intersect.
I wouldn't use the intersector then.
You could use the intersector as well. Again.
Depends what you're doing.
Depends what you're doing.
And
then you can extract the point representing the intersection, and then also transfer attributes across. But you can do all of that with the intersector as well. But that just shows the flexibility of FME.
Yes. You can do so many things. And I mean, line on line is a great example of that. That actually, there's so many scenarios that you want to use it for,
and it kind of is
other scenarios you don't.
Yeah, and it goes back to the the spatial focus of FME from its roots.
Yes, it's a spatial. It's a spatial.
It's where it shows its strengths.
Yeah.
In the world of data integration.
Yeah, and you've got tolerances as well on there. So
and recently,
you can change.
In 2019, they did the auto tolerance.
Yes, so you got auto tolerances. You can do your 1 meters. Basically, how close you want to get to do for a line on line, etc.
All right, so our last transformer, this one I haven't really used much, so I'm going to be leaning on you two to talk about this one a bit more. So ranking 110 falls under the category of strings and data quality. Now, its description: when you're delivering data over the net, the transformer name guarantees you don't serve a bunch of errors. It makes sure your strings are good and your numbers are in range.
Attribute
validator. Yeah. So an interesting wee fact about this, the attribute validator was an early adopter of the FME_rejection_code attribute. So that was probably going a while back.
No, I don't think it is. It's not going that far back. So attribute validator is actually only, from memory, is only a few years old. And allows lots of cool functionality. One of my gripes with it is that its tests, unless they've changed it in the last year, very much one-off. So you can't go. You go. It must be in range such and such, but then you can't go. It must be in range such and such, or allow to be null, or da da da.
So is the attribute validator almost like a tester?
It is in a lot of ways, yes. So for instance, you could say, is it of this type?
Yeah.
And if it's not, then... so it is a bit like a tester, but with more specific options.
Yeah, and it doesn't include any spatial tests in there.
No.
Because you have your geometry
Who
test.
would have thought it says attribute validator? I mean, you could put your geometry into an attribute, and then you might be able to do some stuff.
Fair enough.
But what does it actually? Okay, there's not too much on here, is there, around the stuff?
Yeah.
But I used it a bit when it made its rounds. So when it first kind of came out, well,
I think what I used it for was like tracking null values and blank and stuff like that. Like if stuff would pass and I wanted to make sure that it had a value, it might kick it out as failed or something like that and kill the workbench. But at the same time, like you said, you could use a tester for the same thing and just.
I think where I've got to with the attribute validator, no disrespect to it, is that some of the tests and stuff we run on some of our processes are actually more complex than what it allows for. So, we've built those kind of logic into our processes that can be used across multiple things. So I probably utilise that more than the straight one transformer for the answer approach. But that, like I say, that's only because we've built those processes to go quite
I'd be curious to know if it takes dynamic tests. So could you build the test within your bench?
No, I don't think it does.
I would assume it doesn't, but I think that might be kind of cool if you could build it dynamically where based on your max and min of your data, you could throw in that test as your max and min. And is it?
But you could also do that in the tester.
Yeah,
playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, you could do it all in there. I'm just thinking of whatever your validation is, or your multi validation. You could build it within the workbench and pass it in somehow.
Yeah, it's a good point because I was just thinking, whether it can be dynamic because I was thinking that there might be scenarios where we build specific values, although again we'd probably just use the tester. To be able to check some of those things.
Built off parameters and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah. Variables. Oh yeah. But yeah, it's would
you say it's an up and comer? It's one that has a lot of potential to evolve into something a bit stronger than it currently is.
Yeah. I suppose it all depends. I mean, the driver's got to come from the community to make it something that people want, and I think 110 is not too bad on the list. There's, there's hundreds and hundreds of transformers, so there's a bit of use there. Just because we don't use it doesn't mean that other people shouldn't.
Right.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Oh well, I think that was a pretty interesting conversation. We got a view on a lot of different transformers and how we all use them and what some of our perceived limitations of the transformers are. So this was Abley's FME Fireside Chat with myself, Hamish, Todd and Gavin, and we'll catch you next time.